Groupies unite and express your thoughts. Opinionated I am.
My recent trip to Ghana, which obviously is always a good thing to go back to Ghana to go home and see family and so forth. But as excited as I get, I have to say one thing absolutely haunts me every single time that I'm going to go to this place, and it's the level of service and the attitude of people in Ghana. You know, over here in the UK and when you travel to places like the States and so forth, customer services is probably on top of the list of things that, in terms of experience and service that you get. And in Ghana, I realized there's a very lax attitude in terms of how people take their jobs and how people come across to you. And these are some of the things that I'm going to highlight, because I feel like if you can't address like simple issues like that, then that poor country's got a big problem. So customer service is one of those things that it adds to the experience and the enjoyment of places you go to and things that you go to experience. Customer service is something that leaves a lasting impression, and you find that it's going to be word of mouth and you tell people about it. But on the flip side, if you receive bad service, it's something that you also do talk about. And in Ghana, I think there's a big problem. And so I'm highlighting Ghana. I mean, it could be a thing that it's all of Africa. It could just be a thing that it's black people. I don't know. But because Ghana is somewhere I go to and that's where my family's from, I'm gonna talk about this. So the day I arrived, December, I'm going there to spend Christmas with my mum, who's been out there for a little while. So I wanted to see how she's doing, catch up with her. And do you know what? Immediately it started off from the moment I got off the plane. I got off the plane going through the airport in Kotoka in Accra. And the agent at the immigration office all seem to have a bad attitude, a very, very bad attitude. And it's almost as if that they talk as if they're commanding you. And it's absolutely fine. It's not. So when we get there first, British passports in any international country have their lane of where they need to go to, where they need to be. And then you have people who have Ghana passports. And that was a relatively short queue. And so once that died down, everyone with an international passport, that queue was ridiculously long. And for me, I think common sense would dictate that, okay, if we've cleared that queue, we've got a long backup. It's now 11, like around about 10:30, 11 p.m. So we need to clear these people, get them through the system. And so let's now start getting people going across to that side so things are being processed a lot quicker. That took about 15 minutes for someone to think, yeah, that's a good idea, let's do that. Okay, no problem. Do you know what? I can't. That's not a big deal. I get out to the desk, the immigration desk, with the agent. I have a big grin on my face. Hi, how are you? Greeted them, because politeness goes a long way. And I was stared at like this. Where are you going? I said, I'm going to Hatra. Where specifically in Hatra are you going? I'm not actually too sure. I'm just coming to visit my mum. This is what I've got. Well, you need to give me a specific. Call her and get the address. I'm not switching my phone on to get bombarded with the amount of emails and texts and get a bill of how much just to get a specific address. Needless to say, this person was quite miserable. Very miserable, in fact. And almost seemed like she couldn't even be bothered. And what was so funny is halfway through serving me, she literally stopped what she was doing and turned around to another colleague of hers and said, it's coming up to 11:30. I want to go home. And effectively what she did is literally get up and left me standing there midway through service, which to me is ridiculously unprofessional. The next guy sat down. He was a bit better and he managed to get the job done. He got it done. Perfect. Happy days. I'm going through without all this hoorah. Day 2. Relaxed. I'm good. And so we decided to go venture off to Accra Mall. And so I met up with a few friends who live there and who I've met before on previous trips and so forth. And we go to the mall, and it was great. I thought, let me quickly go get my Vodafone chip, put it in my phone, get my iPad online. And it was bloody great to know that Ghana is now really moving forward in terms of being connectivity and so forth. I think they're even about to test 4G, which was marvellous. So I walk into Vodafone, and there was a meet and greet girl who was asking, oh, what you here to do, blah, blah, blah. I told her, great, sat me down. Another miserable face. Okay, what do you want? I would like to get a chip, a SIM card for my phone, and all of that. Okay, I'll go and do that for you. Do you want any credit? Yeah, I do. How much? Give me 100 cedis, 100 Ghana cedis. Yeah, great. And that was pretty much it. That's done. I was like, well, it was a bit of an underwhelming experience. Or maybe it's just me and females. I'm not too sure. But either which way, it left much to be desired. But never mind, we got the job done. I'm not one to complain. So let's go now to get something to eat. And I think there was a chicken run or something like that in the actual shopping mall. And I sit down with the guys, and waiter comes up. What would you like to eat? There's no menu. How can I order without a menu? And then he sits there and he was like, oh yeah. So he trottles off and goes, gets the menu. Now, this is a funny trend in Ghana that I noticed, that if I go to certain places, you see a menu, they have great stuff on there in abundance, and you say you want this, and then, oh, we don't have that. Okay, no problem. All right, can I have this? No, we don't have that. So I have to question, if 80% of the things you have on your menu isn't there, why are you advertising it? In fact, why are you even open? I didn't get that. So on that level, you think, okay, service-wise, that wasn't a good service either. Anyway, moving on. Now, what made me laugh is, as the days went on, I wanted to travel to Kumasi as well. And so I went back to the airport to get a ticket. And I went up to, I believe it's airline 540, which is one of the new ones from Accra to Kumasi. And I get to the desk and I ask them, okay, I want a ticket for Sunday. And how much is it going to cost? These guys tell me 2.9 million. 2.9 million. I said, that's a hell of a lot. That's nearly £100 just to take a 30-minute flight. I said, okay, I don't think that price is correct, but if you don't mind, can you print me out the price? Now all of a sudden they pause. You want to see my office screen? You want to see my office screen? Well, you're not going to see my office screen, okay? And I said, but if that's the price, surely there should be no problem you printing it out for me. See, they have this bad culture of knowing if you're not from there, they're going to try and rip you off. I understand that with things like the taxi cabs. I understand that maybe even if you go to a bar and they add a bit on. I don't understand that, nor do I appreciate that when it's in the airports. It's a government-run service. It's a public sector. It's not a private sector. And so even if the airline was a private sector, then that's bad on you. That's very, very bad on the company and their reputation. And the people at the airport, it was really strange. I'm standing in the queue, and some man jumps in front of me, doesn't even say excuse me or nothing. And I'm like, you do realise I'm in the queue? He's like, oh, I just have an inquiry. I said, I'm not standing here just for fun. So then what makes me laugh is you get to the counter and they don't say to the guy, oh, hold on. They still allow this guy to turn around and effectively jump in front of me to say and deal with whatever his business is, which I looked and I was just like, do you know what? Wait till I finish and you can do what you need to do, okay? It's as simple as that. It's common courtesy. What makes me laugh then, so I'm now at the Amtrak desk because 540 or whatever they're called is absolutely awful when they're trying to rip me off. So I go to Amtrak, and funny enough, my plane ticket is less than half of what I was quoted by the other people. And so I said, no problem, we'll do that. Now, midway for being served, I have an airport personnel jumps in while I'm being served because they now want to buy a ticket for another passenger who can't be bothered to queue, and because that passenger is going to put some money in their hand. Right, okay. A second person came to do the exact same thing. I don't find that acceptable. So finally, I think I kind of lost the plot, and I just looked at him and I said, you know what, I find you really obnoxiously rude. You see that I'm standing here, you see that I'm being served, and because of your selfish ways and your bad attitude and poor working morals towards people and clients and customers, you think it's acceptable behavior to just jump in. What is that all about? So needless to say, he felt a bit ashamed and hang back. Okay, how many days later now I'm in Kumasi and I decide I'm going to go to a place called Royal, which is near the top of probably going towards Ashtown, I believe, but going the other way to slightly nicer areas. And sat in there with my little niece, you know, we ordered our food and everything, but her food turned up and mine didn't. So I thought, okay, maybe it's taking its time a bit. 20 minutes passed and no word. And I called the waitress over and I just said, my food isn't here. She says, I didn't order anything. Me and my niece look at each other and I actually ordered mine first. And she was like, oh, what do you want? So I told her again, it's no big deal, you know. Then she came back and goes, we don't have it. Okay. I ordered something else. Okay, we don't have it. I said, what's the alternative? Give me an alternative. If you don't have that, what's the next closest thing? What's the next best thing? Suggest something. It wasn't done. Then the food I ordered, finally she told me what they had, brought it out. It looked all right, tasted all right. And then I found a hair in my food. I found a hair in my food. So do you know what? Calmly, I called her over and I said, look, there's a hair in my food. She looked at me with disbelief and she got this close. Yes, I said it, this close to the food, picked it out to take a look at it and said, oh yes, there is a hair in your food, and proceeded to put the plate back down in front of me. Do you expect me to eat that? Yes, I think she did. And so, do you know what? I said, you can take your food and do realise I'm not paying for it. She said, but you can't say you're not paying for it. And I was like, yeah, I can. I said, otherwise call me your boss, call me the owner, let me explain the situation. And what I'm basically being told is that's not how things are done in Ghana. And so if I've eaten some of the food and then noticed it, then I should pay for the part that I've eaten. How do you divide that cost? Okay. I'm going to go back to Accra now. You know, it's time to go back to the UK, back to the lovely grey clouds and cold weather and rain, because it's that time of year. And so I go to the airport in Kumasi once again, around airport roundabout. And once again, the very same company, 540, with their orange logo or whatever, was my first stop, just to see. This time around, they quoted me a lot less. But what made me laugh, and if you go to www.astarworld.com, I'm going to put the clip on there. I went to the desk, I stood at the desk, and what do I see? Yes, basically, this chick was so focused on her phone. Didn't acknowledge me, didn't greet me, didn't nothing. In fact, to the point where it was all about let her finish what she was doing before she's even going to do the job she's getting paid to do. Now, I don't know whether there's an abundance of jobs out there or people can land jobs easily. I think not. Or maybe they get paid too well. Once again, I think not. But when you're paid to do a job, you've got to have a certain level of pride. And what I realized is a lot of people, it was almost as if you owed them something. It's almost as if you're the one that should be grateful that they're attending to you in the first place. And I was absolutely miffed. I was just like, really? She sat there, and do you know what? I was even able to take my phone out and film her. And that clip is actually on the website. Directly, it's going to be below this video here. If you're watching this via YouTube, it will be on the actual A-Star page. And it was just like, wow. Okay. What then got me, I left and went to the same company, Amtrak, who I dealt with originally. And you know what? Service was a lot better, I have to say. Price was a little bit more, but I was cool with that because the service was there. I was actually acknowledged. Not some off-key jumpstart person just sitting there and being more interested in twiddling a hair or a phone and not acknowledging you till they finish what they're doing because they're, you know, you're there to serve them. No problem. It gets worse when the day I'm leaving Accra to come back to London, that I'm going through immigration and some dude's trying to stifle me for money. An airport personnel who's checking my documents is trying to tell me that I need to give him some money. What for? Just because he said so. Oh, okay. No problem. I will give you my hard-earned cash. Not! So I proceed to go through and we get to, finally you go through immigration, then you go for another set of immigration people, then you go for another set of security people. And it's all a bit long-winded how the airport is set up, which they need to do a better job of, but that's not for me to say. And we get to this place, get to the final part, just before you go to the waiting area where you board the actual plane. And I'm standing there and two guys are actually on this station. Two guys. And one of them is so focused on the messages that he's sending from his phone and checking his Facebook that I'm standing there and I am seriously getting infuriated because this is the behavior that I have seen since being there. This is the behavior I knew that I would get going there. And I shouldn't expect that kind of standard at all. No one should. It's not acceptable. And especially when you're in the airport where you think national security and everything is at the most, and where the service level of the employees of the actual airport will be high. You know? Forget about the rest of the indigenous, but I'm talking about you. Your staple is actually quite important. And I stood there in absolute disgust and disbelief, and it was just like, I looked at the guy, and literally, I was going to have to stand there till he's finished. And I said, listen, can I just walk through, or do I need to stand here and wait for you to finish what you're doing on your phone before I get served or get given way to go? It took for his colleague to realize the look on my face to serve me and say, check my documents and say, you can proceed. The other guy, I looked at him with complete and utter disgust, and I was infuriated. Ghana's come in a long way in terms of technology, in terms of business, in terms of how things are done. And I don't really deem it acceptable that this is the level of service, or it's not even the service, it's just the way people feel it's acceptable to conduct themselves in this kind of light and in this kind of manner, which is absolutely wrong. It's not acceptable because it also gives a real bad impression of the actual country. And it's a lovely place with great people. And so the powers that be really, really need to put a stamp on this, because you don't want to walk through an airport where people are trying to steal your money or trying to get you to give them money for doing soddle. You don't want to go through somewhere, a gateway, where you get such bad treatment, because already then it makes your journey and your experience that much worse. You know, and it's funny because you can come back and then you speak to fellow Ghanaians and so forth, maybe born in the UK or who are now living in the UK, and they laugh, and you do laugh about it. But when you're in the middle of that, it's not acceptable. It's not the way things should be conducted. On the flip side, though, I noticed when you are white, not to make this a race issue, they will stand to attention and they will give you such great treatment, and they will speak some bad English even for you. They can't do enough. They wouldn't disrespect you in such a light. But yet if you're black and they think that's fine, they don't care. Maybe because they think the white people are in charge of something, or under like mystery shoppers, I don't know. Or that they have enough power to go back to the powers that be and report them. I don't know. But clearly, me as a black person with Ghanaian heritage, I don't deserve decent treatment. But that's not to say that was all of Ghana. I went to La Palm Hotel, and you know what? Absolutely beautiful place, absolutely stunning, to the point I was there nearly every day for my lunch and just to use their facilities and so forth. And the service there, I have to say, was a lot better. People couldn't help you enough. And so when you're giving somebody a tip and you're giving somebody that money, it doesn't bother you, because you know what? They went above and beyond. And so whoever runs the airports and other companies like that, I think they should go and really take their staff onto a customer services course, or teach them. I know it probably doesn't exist over there, but they really need to come better than what they did. La Palm was just absolutely fabulous. And I hope that's because they wouldn't tolerate their clientele to be treated badly, and that they pride themselves on the jobs that they do. They pride themselves on giving that level of service, because clearly, even in the national gateway where you come and leave the country, they don't care. And that says a lot. That's real bad. It's very, very, very bad. Rest of my trip though, I met some great people. Shout out to Homeboy, my taxi driver. He took me everywhere I needed to go, and probably one of the best people I've met in a long time. So Homeboy's going to be remembered when Christmas comes around again, and I need to reach out to him and send some stuff to him, because it was absolutely fabulous. But Ghana, honestly, we're coming very, very far as a country, and so we need to progress and move with it. It's not that you can do that stupid stuff that you would do in your own house and do that in public and in a place of work where you need to be professional when you're dealing with people, okay? Because at the end of the day, people do pay your salaries and whatever money they spend. But not only that, you're impacting on somebody's life, whether it's positive or negative. You're giving somebody an impression of you, the country. You're representing that country. You're representing your company. You're representing yourself. And so without being able to do that to a level of competence, even at its minimum, is a little bit worrying. And so that's all I'm going to say on that subject. But as I said, we're going to be discussing many more things. We're going to go through a lot of articles this year, and we've got some great features with the interviews of artists, business people, people who are really making moves in society, who are from African descent, and some who are not. You know, it's all about black entertainment and black culture, and really just showing that there's always other ways. And you know what, we're not limited by what we're capable of doing, so keeping that on the positive. We're going to be loading up one of the first interviews. It's going to be an audio interview might be a transcript as well from Amu the Great, and so his videos are going to be uploaded this week, and then you're going to see be able to listen to his interview the following week as well. So that's going to be good, and then we got so much more to come, so please keep posted. Thank you very much for the support. And I mean, give me feedback in terms of this format. I'm just trying it out. I'm not one to want to put myself out there or my team, but somebody's got to do it really. So I'm at home today, and I thought, right, do you know what? I'm going to get this done, because if I wrote all about this, it would have been a long-winded article. It could be quite boring as well. And I'm somebody I like to keep attention. So for me, visual is always better anyway. So by all means, do give me your feedback, and if you have any material and any stories you want to submit, by the way, info@astarworld.com. That's info@astarworld.com, and I will leave it in the comments below and stuff, so you've got access to that as well. So whether you're a musician, poet, writer, designer, you want to feature your stuff on the site, it's all free of charge. There's no fees there. I mean, I will welcome to actually sit down and interview people as well if they are available. So anything that you got to do hit us up, and we're able to contact you back. And so leave your name, your number and details, and we'll do that. Many thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and there will be more to come. So yeah, do keep a watch out. Thank you.
Please unite and express your thoughts. Opinionated I am.